So far in our unit, we've been talking about a lot of different ways that you can earn money. For example, we can talk about wages and salaries. We can talk about any additional ways to earn income, like contract work or piecework, self-employment, commissions, additional earnings like bonuses or tips, shift premiums, danger pay or isolation allowances when you get reimbursed for your expenses. Last bit is we're going to talk about deductions and net pay. So deductions are amounts of money taken off of a gross pay for income tax. For example, federal and provincial or territorial if you live in territories, union dues, disability insurance, employment insurance, or also called EI, pension plans including the CPP or the Canada Pension Plan, and health or other benefits. Income tax, CPP, and EI are paid on your taxable income. Each paycheck should list your gross pay, all deductions, and your net income. At the end of the year, your employer will supply you with T4 that you use to prepare for your income tax. Or you can talk to someone that will do your income tax for you, and they'll have to see what other kind of benefits or deductions that you can get for submitting your taxes. So gross pay is basically the total amount of money that you get before your deductions. So before anything comes off, gross pay is just like your wage or your salary. It's just like, okay, you earn 13 bucks an hour, you work 40 hours, 13 times 40, done. Now, taxable income is the money that you pay taxes on. That is after you take off the before tax deductions like union dues or pensions. So there's a few things that will come off your paycheck before the taxes are even calculated. So different benefits would be like programs that you or your employer will pay for. And a net income is the money that is after your deductions of taxes, aka your take-home pay. How much money you got to actually take home. So there are things that are called, again, before tax deductions. So before you have to pay a federal tax or a provincial tax or a CPP or EI, you have things that can come off your paycheck that you're basically not paying taxes for. So like things that if your employment has its own pension plan, so pension pay, healthcare plans, long-term disabilities, most employments, especially if you have a larger employer, will have some kind of disability payment or disability plan that you pay into. Dental plans, union dues, life insurance, charitable donations, savings plans, or health insurance. All those things would come off your paycheck before you have to pay taxes on it. And the easiest way to do that calculation is most of these things are going to be some kind of percentage of your pay. And really, it's just like we calculate commission or calculate tips. You just take your gross income and multiply by the percentages. So for example, if you have a group life insurance, which is 1.5% of your salary of $450 every 2 weeks, how much do you pay for group life insurance? So really nice and easy. It's just multiplied by 1%. Now 1% means we have to, if we put it as a decimal, make sure the decimal moves 2 over. So it would be 0.015. Actually, I'm just going to make that a bit bigger. Okay, 0.05. And I'll just erase it and then write it again. $450 times 0.015. Do that calculation. Let me pull up my calculator. it will come out as $6.75. Yeah, a group life insurance very likely isn't going to be a huge amount of money off of your paycheck, but that also does give you some life insurance. If your disability insurance rate is 0.5%, what do you contribute if your gross income is $400? Well, we just have to take 400 and multiply by 0.5%, which means we have to move the decimal 2 over. Look, that put a 0 there. It would be 0.005. And 0.5% of 400 works out as $2 or 2.00. Okay. Next example. We have a gross income of $785. Your net income was this. What percentage of your gross pay were deductions? In order to find out that percent deductions, it's your gross income subtracting your net income divided by your gross income times 100. Mine got cut off, and more than likely yours did too, as it printed in the printer. I apologize. Just have to shift this formula over a little bit. But if this is the gross income and this was the net income, you just have to plug it into the formula. $785 subtracting $625.42 divided by the gross. The gross is $785. Now, like I said before, when we talked about like the percent markup and percent markdown, it's the same formula. It's just the original subtracting the new divided by the original. Always do that numerator first. 785 subtracting 625.42 is 159.58. Divided by 785 times 100. You type that in. $20.3%. A good overall so if this is what you would have been paid and this is what you get to actually take home, a general rule of thumb is basically that hopefully your employment doesn't take any more than 30%, either with taxes or your before tax deductions or your EI or CPP. A good rule of thumb is hopefully you should be able to have at least 70% of your income. So since this question is saying that 20.3% were deductions, aka 20.3% was taken off, it leaves you with approximately 80% of your paycheck, which is pretty good. I know it would be awesome if you could just keep 100% of your paycheck, but then there's a whole bunch of different services and stuff that you don't get to pay into, which means you don't get to take benefit from. Taxable income is just income that you pay federal or provincial tax on. After before tax deductions, such as union dues and company pension, are removed. So you pay federal provincial tax after these things are taken off. So if we take $6.75 off of $450, if we take $2 off of $400, so leaving us with $398, you'll pay taxes on that $398 as opposed to the entire $400. calculation is just to take your gross income and you subtract the total of your before tax deductions. Most of the common tax deductions include federal tax, provincial tax, EI, aka employment insurance, and CPP, which is the Canada Pension Plan. And each of these tax deductions have different purposes. For example, federal tax goes to the government of Canada, and the government of Canada designates certain, has to pay for like our defense. So has to help pay for our military, pays for our elected officials or members of parliament, or not parliament. Yeah, parliament. Pays for federal highways like the number 1. Even though number 1 is in Saskatchewan, it is jointly, or I believe it should be jointly paid for between federal and provincial. So that provincial tax helps pay for all the provincial highways. So like the 47 or the 48, 46, 33, the 11, which goes up to Saskatoon, whichever highway goes up to, like all of those highways, that's what to pay for. Yes, I understand that all the potholes makes it look like these roads are not maintained. I have no retaliation to that. Employment insurance. It allows people to get paid when they don't have any work that they can be done. For example, if someone loses employment for a extended amount of time, or for maternity or paternity leave, helps making sure that people still have money. Now, you can only access EI or employment insurance if you've worked for a certain amount of time. I don't know that exact number, but I might have to do some research. Then CPP, Canada Pension Plan, is as soon as you become, I say this, but as soon as you become old, aka at the age of retirement, which is 65 or 67, you can start getting the Canada Pension Plan. You might be able to access that a little bit early, depending on certain criteria, or you get a certain percentage. As of right now, I'm not there yet, so I can't exactly tell you, but I could probably talk to people that are able to access that. But it allows income for when you're retired. If you haven't already paid into an employer's pension plan. Typically, most employment will have a company pension plan, and then you have the Canada Pension Plan. So taxable income, or the calculation that you have to know, is just taxable income times the percentage. So again, just like we've done before, calculate the amount of taxable income of $653. If the federal tax takes 18% of your income, provincial tax takes 13% of your income, and EI actually this is actually a typo, it should say 5.7 now. So we'll calculate that stuff. So if your taxable income, which means that you've already had the before tax deductions, like the union dues, charitable donation, savings plan, health insurance, disability, dental plan, pension, after these have already come off, this is what it's saying. Okay, yep, we're going to tax you on this amount. So if we have $653, And we're going to find out what is 18% of that. Oh, yes. $117.54. For provincial tax, same bit. $653 times by 0.13. It works out as 84.89. Most of the time I haven't seen anything otherwise, but most of the time the federal tax takes a lot more off than the provincial tax. And then EI. $653 by 5.7. That is not 0.57. Let's move it 2 over. So if the zeros, the decimal is there, there's a 0 there, it'd be 0.057. So 653 times by 0.057. Double check with your calculator, but if I'm doing my math right, it should be 3722. No. We could have left it at 5.6. Yeah. Word of note that I need to change just for the future. It's not 5.7 EI, it's 5.7 CPP. Sorry. Now, CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, uses a contribution rate of 5.7%, 5.70. Years ago it was 5.45, and every single year I believe it's the government dictates what the CPP contribution rate is. But what it does is it only calculates the contribution for anything that's above $3,500. So if you only make $3,500 in a year, you actually can't contribute to the pension plan, which means you get to keep all $3,500, but also means that when you turn 65, you don't get any money. So there's a few calculations on this one, and this one's probably the best one to really pay attention or very close attention to. And it's a very specific bit. You take 3,500 divided by the number of pay periods per year. So if you're paid monthly, you divide by 12. Semi-monthly, 24. Weekly, 52. Bi-weekly, 26. That will tell you the exempt amount, which basically means that you don't have to pay any taxes on a certain number value. Then you have to take your taxable income and subtract the exempt amount. So this exempt amount is the same as this. Now that's going to be your CPP calculation amount. And then you're going to calculate your CPP by taking this and multiplying by 5.7. So here's how it works. If you can get taxed on $250 weekly, first thing we want to do is we take 3,500 divided by 52. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. 3,500 divided by 52. $67.31. So what that means is that for $67.31 of this, you don't pay any taxes. You also don't contribute any, or you don't contribute any CPP for it. So the second step that we do is we take 250 and subtract the 67.31. 250 subtract 67.31. 0.31. It's $182.69. You will only pay Canadian pension plan on this. So you get to keep, basically, in a way, you pretty much get to keep $67.31. That's actually not, that's not right. You just don't pay any CPP on this. Our third step is we take this calculation amount, so $182.69, and multiply by 5.7%. So that's 0.057. So the CPP amount for this is $10.41. What about if we had taxable income of $37.50 monthly? The first thing that we're going to do is take 3,500 and divide it by how many months are. That works out as $291.67. The next thing we do is we take this amount, it's $37.50, and we subtract the $291.67. $37.50 subtracting 291.67. So you're only going to pay CPP on $3,458.33. So our last step is 3458.33 times by 0.057. So the CPP amount is 0.057. You pay $197.12 into the Canadian pension plan. Bi-weekly, well, bi-weekly is 26. So first step, 3,500 divided by 26. It is $134.62. Then we take 760, subtract the 134.62. Subtract 134.62. $625.38. So we're only going to pay Canadian pension plan on this. So 625.38, 5.057, the CPP, 7, is a contribution of $35.65. Alrighty. Now we've done that. We've done federal, provincial tax, EI, talk about some Ford tax deductions. Oh, let's talk about total deductions. So total deductions is basically the total of your before tax deduction plus the total of your tax deductions. Net pay or net income, again, is the amount of money that you make after all tax and deductions. It's your take-home pay. And a lot of our calculations, we just take our gross income and subtract the total deductions. So example 1. Albert has a gross income of $852 per week. His before tax deductions include union dues of 2.5% of his gross income and a company pension plan contribution of 3%. His federal tax rate is 16.2% and provincial is 5.4%. He pays 5.7% to the CPP and 1.58% to EI. Calculate his net income. So there's a lot of things into this. And it's broken down into these individual states. The first thing that we're going to calculate is the union dues of 2.5%. We have to find out what is 2.5% of $852. So 2.5% is 0.025. Now that works out that Albert is paying $21.30 to his union. His company pension. So a company pension plan of 3%. So for $852, we're going to find out what is 3% of that. That works out as $25.56. These two are called before tax deductions, which means these two have to come off our paycheck before we touch the federal and provincial tax or the CPP and EI. So our taxable income is by taking $852 and subtracting the $21.30 and subtracting the $25.56. If we take those off, it works out that Albert is only going to have to pay taxes on $805.14. Now, just to put into context, $21.30 and $25.58 works out as $46.86. So that's the total amount of his before tax deductions. Now, each of these calculations are going to use this amount because these amounts have already come off the paycheck. For the federal tax, we're going to find out what is 16.2%. So if we have $805.14, we have to find out what is 16.2% or 0.162. That works out as 130.43. Provincial is 5.4%. So we're going to use this $805.14 and find out what is 5.4%, which is 0.054. Of course, I haven't said it yet today, but if you want to use your percent button, go for it. If I'm checking my original calculations correctly, it should be 43, 48. Just gonna type that into my calculator again just to make sure. Table 5.14 times by 0.054, 43, 48. Yep. Okay. Now we're going to actually leave CPP for a second. We're going to do the EI first. So EI is 1.58. So $805.14, 0.0158. So this is actually the current rate for this year. By next year, I might have to make new notes and have a different rate. 805.14 times 5.0158. So EI is a contribution of $12.72. I want to leave CPP till last because CPP has a special calculation. Here's the 5.7 for the CPP. We have to find out how much is exempt first. So let's see. He's paid $852 per week. So he's paid weekly. The first thing we need to do is find out how much is he exempt weekly. So 3,500 divided by 52. It's $67.31. So we take the second step we do, so we take our 805.14, we subtract the 67.31, so 805.14, subtract 67.31, works out as $737.83. And now our final step is we're going to find out what is 5.7% of this. So $737.83 times 0.057. CPP contribution of $42.06. So his before tax deductions was $46.86. The after I'll just call it the after deductions. That's not the proper terminology. But the after deductions is at $130.43 of federal tax, $43.48 for the provincial tax, the $42.06 for the CPP, and the $12.72 of EI. Add all of that up, 130.43, add 43 plus 0.48, 42.06 plus 12.472. It works out as $228.69. You don't necessarily need to show this calculation, but I just wanted to show that before tax deductions worked out about $50. This one worked out as $230. So unfortunately, Albert is not taking home $852. As minors, if you have a job at a store, co-op, waitressing, whatever, you very likely won't have to contribute all of these different things, but as soon as you turn 18, you will. So, unfortunately, harsh reality, but it's stuff that you need to know about so that you're not completely shell-shocked, just saying, like, why did $230 come off my paycheck? Like, well, that's for keeping roads and politicians and roads maintained, politicians in power, hopefully setting you up to have some money when you retire and making sure that if you lose your job, you can potentially get some money so that you can put food on the table. Right. The net income, let's see, where's the last? Yeah. Net income is all your take-home pay. And you just have to take your gross income and take away all of your deductions. So the gross pay is $852. Now, we know that if we take this away, we get $805.14. So there's another way, there's two ways that you could do this. So the first way you could do it is you take 852, subtract the 4686, or take away these individually, doesn't really matter. 4686. And then you subtract these after tax, after deduction, the federal, provincial, CPP, and EI. Again, it's not the right terminology, but it kind of works because you have before tax deductions and then just your tax deductions. So $228.69. Since we know that this is already the answer to this part, you could start with this and just subtract your $228.69. You're going to get the exact same answer. And that answer should be $576.45. Now the question doesn't say it, but let's calculate how much percent that is. And that is gross income subtracting our net income divided by the gross. So if you want to write this, great. If you don't, you're not going to get penalized for it. I'm just some more work, some practice. 852 subtract the 576.45 all over the original of 852 times by 100. If I type that in to my calculator correctly, 76.45, I get my answer of 270. So in total, that's $275.55 divided by the 852. It's telling me that 32.3% went to taxes. So you have a little bit, you have 67.7% of the income. So that's not really ideal. He's getting a bit more taken off than what you kind of would hope for. Now, there are limits to your CPP contributions and your EI contributions. The CPP contribution, so if you're paying $42.06 weekly, 42.06 times 52 is $2,187.12. So that would you would pay that total amount for the entire year. The total amount that you can pay into your CPP, I believe, is about $3,500. Just give me a second. Yeah, just had to check. But for 2022, the maximum amount that you can put into CPP is about $3,500. So the fact that this would only put to about $2,100, it means just that you're not putting the maximum amount in an entire year. So let's say you're contributing more money. Say you contribute $80 every single week. Well, that would put us well over the $3,500. But it doesn't allow you to contribute that much more as an individual. So you can only pay CPP up to the maximum, and then you basically get to keep all the extra money. Same thing with EI. You can only contribute In 2022, you can only contribute as an individual $952.74. So $12.72 every week won't put us anywhere close to 952. But if you voluntarily wanted to contribute more to EI, I'm not exactly sure what the entire purpose behind that would be. I'd have to talk to a financial advisor for that. But you could only contribute up to the 952. Let's do another one. Jaden has a gross income of $943. His before tax deduction includes some union dues of 3.5 and a health benefit contribution of 6%. The federal tax rate is 14.5 and provincial 6.4. He pays 5.7% TPP and 1.58 for EI. Calculate his net income. So union dues, $943. Union dues of 3.5%, 0.035. So 943 times 0.035 works out as $33.01. The health benefit of 6%. So the reason I added that extra emphasis is because it's 33.005. The 5 would round up that 0 to a 1. So again, there's an importance of rounding. No, sorry, not 0.35, sorry. I caught myself. 6%. So 0.06. 943 times by 0.06 is $56.58. So in total, 3301 add the 56.58 will come out as 59 cents, but make sure you're using your calculator. 89. I'm just going to double check. 3. Please, for the love of goodness, make sure you are using a calculator. $89.59. So that is what's coming off before Jaden even has to pay taxes. So $943, subtracting the $89.59. He's getting taxed on $853.41. So federally, 14.5 and provincially, 6.4. So $853.41 for 14.5%. Provincial, I'm just writing it out so I have it ready to go. 6.4% provincially, so that's 0.064. 53.41 divided by 0.145. Meaning federally, Jaden has to pay $123.74. 3.41 by 0.064 is $54.62. Now we'll go in order for this one. For CPP, $3,500 divided by, he's being paid weekly, 3,500 divided by 52 is $67.31. So I'm going to take my $853.41 not the gross, taking the taxable income, because that's what the, here's the formula, CPP, where are you? Should be there. There we go. Yeah, CPP, taxable income, subtracting the exempt. Subtracting exempt of $67.31. So 853.41. Subtracting 67.31. Meaning he only has to contribute CPP on $786.10. 786.10. CPP is 0.057. Right. Yep, 5.7 CPP. 0.057. He is contributing $44.81. So I'm going to actually start doing these. I'm just going to start writing the numbers. 123.74, 54.62, 44.81, and EI, which is calculated on this 853.41. EI of 1.58%. Oh. Now, I can write percent. I can use my percent button. You choose which way you are going to do. Which one are you going to use? Either way, you will get the exact same answer. Of what should be $13.48. So that's another thing that's going to come off the paycheck. 48, not 84. So 123.74. Scroll down. Plus 54.62. Plus 44.81. Plus 13.48. This is the tax deductions. Yeah, so I guess in a way, so I'm for sure can put tax in quotation. So if you can erase this bit, saying after deduction, it would make more sense to in quotations call them tax deductions. Technically, pension isn't a tax and EI isn't a tax. That's why tax is in quotation. Like it's not exactly, but it kind of, it's more deductions. So to find out the total net income, and we can take the full amount of the 943, or we can start here and 943 subtract the 89.59, and then subtract the 236.65, or we can start with the 853.41 and subtract the 236.65. Subtract 236.65. $616.76 is what Jaden's take home is going to be. Okay, is net pay or net income. So we could calculate. So if we use that same formula as before, and we calculated how much of his paycheck he lost, I'm just going to quickly do it. It's about 35%. So he's losing even more than Albert did. Probably not super. But gives you some few minutes to do some practice. Have fun.